Both literally and metaphorically.
He's woke as fuck with his gas station boner pills.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hopefully I was muted for that.
I unmuted right before you said that.
Unfortunate.
Literally, when I said woke, both literally and metaphorically, that was when I unmuted right before I said that. And the
That's
first thing
pretty
that I heard
terrible
you
timing.
say was gas station boners.
That's pretty terrible timing.
It's fine, it's fine. Nobody's here right now. There's someone watching, but nobody's chatting, so it's fine.
Okay.
Shit.
Sorry.
In other words, Risk of Rain board game? What is this? The hell am I looking at? Our partners at Neobunny Games have taken the iconic roguelike that we all know and love and distilled it to play at your team's next board game night. 1 to 4 players. Each. Whoa, wait, what? Each stage takes 60 plus minutes to complete? Excuse me?
What the
With the full run spanning 4 stages. So one single run will take you at least 4 hours? What?
Dude, no one's gonna be playing a board game for 4 hours unless it's Monopoly
What D&D?
or D&D.
I can complete a stage in like 5 minutes. What the fuck is this? As you survive and progress, you'll unlock alternate paths and evolve your campaign through additional stages, items, and persistent progression systems. Sure. As players survive and progress, they'll unlock alternate. No, they'll unlock. Wait. As you survive and progress, you'll unlock alternate paths and evolve your campaign through additional stages, items, persistent progression systems. I read that one. My brain fried for a second because this one sounds so similar. The next point sounds so similar. As players survive and progress, they will unlock alternate paths and evolve their campaign through additional stage decks and persistent progression systems. That sounds the exact same, just a couple of words added in there. That's why my brain fried. Yeah. Don't mind me. Dozens of highly detailed miniatures, multiple modular maps. Is this supposed to be a D&D thing?
I don't know.
Something akin to D&D. Oh, there's a Kickstarter.
Got a Kickstarter going on? Cool.
Let's see, 27 days to go. There's over 1,000 backers.
Oh, wow.
They had a 50,000 US dollar goal. It is at 239,000. Or 235,000 $90.
That's what 400%?
Just a
little bit above
over.
that.
Yeah.
A little over 400%.
Yeah, it's almost 500%. Yeah. Okay, crash, survive, escape together. I'm assuming this will have more details.
Off, wizard. No one cares about you.
Let's see here. Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Well, fuck. It's fine. I believe in myself.
Every session of Risk of Rain the board game is a standalone cooperative survival challenge. But players will find themselves evolving strategies, mastering their chosen survivors, and discovering new synergies as they return to the crash site again and again, as you do in the game. The board game is designed for replayability and progression. With every game offering tough decisions about which items to collect, which skills to upgrade, and how to prepare for how to deal with the bullshit that you're landing on. Cool. Across each run, players will work together to explore locations, face off against. Okay, yeah. And track down the growth, update crucial action cards, prepare to experiment with new item combination. Okay, sure. It's a game about cooperation, adaptability, and pushing your limits. One teleporter at a time. Okay, sure. I mean, the concept seems cool. I could get behind the concept if a single run didn't take like at minimum 4 fucking hours.
That's pretty crazy.
How to play. Survivors play
Well,
cards to the row face down. Okay. Monster and survivor cards are revealed. All cards are rearranged based on speed. Sure. Survivors move around the environment, revealing interactables, killing monsters, and attempting to avoid death. The items. Kill monsters and find barrels to gain gold. Reveal chests. Contain, there's a misspelling there. Items that can be purchased with gold. Items are good. The misspelling is contain. Contian is how they spelled it.
Kantian.
Kantian. The teleporter. Find the teleporter, complete all the locations connected to it, and get ready for a unique boss fight on every stage. So I'm not gonna see Titan 3 in a row. Damn.
Dang,
That's kind of
not biblically accurate.
it's kind of all they have right now, I think.
I don't
Let's
really
see
know how I
here.
feel about like video games like that being like Terraria, for example, because they also had it. I don't really know how I feel about them being turned into board games because it's like you're not. If someone does not, if someone does, if you don't play the game, you're not gonna ever buy the board game.
Well, it's for those
Like
that
you would
do
have
play the
to.
game,
Yes.
or people that don't play computer games, like video games. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. It is odd.
I'm
It is
not
odd.
sure either. I feel weird.
What do we have here?
That was
11
the easiest
survivor
thing I've had.
miniatures. Bandit Commando,
Ooh.
Multi Huntress, Captain, Loader, Acrid, Rex, Artificer, Mercenary, and Engineer and Turret.
Engineer into it. Okay.
Bandit Commando, Multi, and Huntress have starter underneath them, with the rest saying unlockable. I wonder if that's a tier, like a Kickstarter tier thing. Like, oh, we're not going to make these if we don't do it. If it's an in-game unlockable thing, like in the game. I don't know.
Hopefully it's an in-game and not like a tier thing. I hate those.
I would hope so. 121 survivor cards, cool. Survivor tokens, survivor info cards, survivor
Oh,
dials, okay. Monster minis, oh my god.
Monster Minis.
70 of them.
Oh,
Jesus. Get Beetle, Lemurian, Imp, Beetle Guard, Bison, Stone Golem, Lunar Chimera, all 3 of them. Oh, they're not going to list them all. That's just some. Okay. 66 monster cards, monster tokens, info cards, spawn cards. 4 boss info cards. Stone Titan, Imp, Beetle Queen, Mithrix. Are those the only bosses? That's lame. Oh, but 32 boss cards.
wait,
Maybe not. I don't know.
what the fuck did my...
What's the location? Drone, equipment, items. 132 item cards, so I guess most items will be in there. Double-sided difficulty tiles. Oh, they're gonna have the difficulty options? Okay. Weather token is actually gonna rain. Weather board. Okay, interactables. Armor.
Oh, I opened it already.
Level up.
Oh, I got a
Coin,
leaf blower. I'm an
rulebook.
idiot.
Oh man.
Cringe.
Oh, they have the expansions as well.
Like Survivors of the Void?
Survivors of the Void, Void Fiend, Railgunner. Survivor cards for them. Survivor dial. Oh, why not just put them all in one?
'Cause
Well,
they're
I
dumb.
mean, well, no, I mean, I know why. Money, but you know.
Oh, right. That's you.
Why is the Clay Doomstrider in the Survivors of the Void expansion? It was the base boss.
What?
But we got the Voidling and the Clay Templar, which is also a base monster, but whatever, I guess.
The Clay Templar is the chain gun asshole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was thinking of the Apothecary at first. I know the Apothecary is Survivor of the Void.
That's Survivor of the Void, but that one's not listed in here, so if it's part of it, we don't know right now.
Unless they meant Apothecary. I don't know about the teapot though.
Maybe they meant the Apothecary, but this is just straight up the Clay Templar, both in name and in look.
Yeah.
At least they got the Voidling in there. They got the final boss of that.
That's sick.
Seekers of the Storm. Seeker, Chef, and False Son. All three of them are in here. Plus Child and Grandparent? Why is the
Grandparent is part of
that?
the.
I mean, because of the child, I guess. But where's the parent? You're missing the middle one.
Yeah, you're missing the probably the most generic one.
Okay, then they have another expansion called Gup Containment. There's,
I wonder
I
what's gonna
guess,
add.
one Gup boss that holds up to 12 miniature Gips. So I guess when you kill it, 12 are gonna 12 Gips are popping out of this thing, I'm guessing.
Ugh.
There's boss miniatures, which, yeah, you said the bosses earlier from the base. Stone Titan, Ambivalor, Mythic, Beetle Queen. Gold. Oh, okay, is that it? Oh, backer exclusives. A tracker coin. What the fuck that's for? Drone minis. Cool, I guess. I don't think people really care about the drones though. So.
Well, I can make.
Oh,
vampires.
there's a demo and tabletop simulator that you can play.
Oh, that's sick.
Interesting. That's kind of cool, actually. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Yeah. So this is the thing.
Interesting.
I was gonna open that up on the
Yeah,
side.
dope that they added that to tabletop sim. That's pretty dope.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Not
That's
expected at all.
fire. Me neither.
Yeah, Rescue Rain the boy game. Holy shit. What the fuck?
Better go buy it.
I better go buy. Who am I gonna play it with?
Yourself.
I can just play the game. I can play the
No.
game and beat it. I can beat it. Technically, I can beat it more than. I can beat more than 4 runs in the time it would take me to beat 1 run of the boy game. Because I have
You're
beaten
the
runs in
range of-
under an hour. I could beat the
You-
game.
You are the Risk of Rain junkie. You're supposed to buy
So-
everything Risk of Rain related.
Do you not remember me telling you that I bought the Secrets of the Storm DLC day 1? Saw all
I
the
remember that.
shit it got and refunded it without even trying it within 24 hours.
I remember that.
And then it was what, like half a year or so before I bought it and actually played it because it mostly was fixed. I'm not loyal to Risk of Rain specifically.
You're loyal to Hapu.
Loyal to Hapu. Which is why I have some hope for the new DLC. Only some. Maybe they'll keep Gearbox in check. I don't know. But
Or not.
why not? Yeah. Since Gearbox is the one hiring them on, they could probably kick them out. I don't know.
They could easily just be like, hey, fuck off.
They really could.
And then everybody will riot.
You know? Would not surprise me.
Me neither.
Before the
I
summer
wanna-
break, my geography teacher gave me a book to read, and it has 166 pages, and I only started reading it today. Oh, I think summer break's almost over, my dude. For context,
summer
it's
break
not a
is
normal
over.
book, since it's from Oxford, and each page is full of useful info, so it's really hard to read. Oh, one of those.
Oh.
To finish it before the end of summer, I have to read 10 pages a day, which doesn't sound bad, but it's like 3 hours of reading and memorizing stuff.
Oh. Terrible.
That's unfortunate.
I hate when schools give you summer fucking bullshit to do.
Yeah, it's always horrible. Always horrible.
It's like, how are you gonna know? How are you gonna know I did it?
You, right?
I'm not gonna go to you.
First day of school quiz.
Yeah, right. I'm not going to that bitch that gave me the work because I got other bitches to go to.
Yeah. Yeah, summer break is ending at 1st of September for me, so
1st of September?
that's pretty late, honestly. Well, I don't know
I mean,
about
yeah, that is
for
late.
Russia, but for the US at least, that's pretty late for summer break to be ending.
Summer break would have ended this week.
Yeah, the middle of August.
I beat Pantera first try. Honestly, that was like one of the easiest Pantera fights I ever had in my life.
Plantera's not too bad. If you make the arena big enough, she's not bad. That's my biggest problem. If I fail, it's because my arena's not big enough. I'm like, oh shit, okay. Expand out
Fair
a little
enough.
more.
I beat Plantera with 32 defense. Let's go.
Ooh.
I'm a gamer.
That's established normal for Russia. By the way, 6k channel points. Let's go. Oh, hell yeah.
Hey, let's go.
What you're saving up for? I don't think I have anything, so.
Supportive. This Underground Crimson remix is pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie.
In other words, though, I was finally able to renew my license plates. Finally. Finally today.
Yippee!
This morning. So I tried
Hooray!
calling the place yesterday, because Friday, I got my property tax stuff sorted. All cool.
Mhm.
So I tried calling them yesterday. I didn't have time in the morning because I worked earlier. Or I worked early. But I called them on my break. And I did not have my property tax receipt on hand.
Oh.
So I couldn't get it. So they were like, it's fine, just call them, have them email it to you, and then call us back. So because I guess it was too soon for me taking care of the thing and then reopening the account or whatever for it to register in the systems at the license plate place I called. Because they still couldn't see it. Which is why they needed me to send them, proof that I actually paid it, the receipt or whatever.
Yeah, makes sense.
So this morning, I called the collection agency again, had them send it to me. I already had the email that the license plate place told me to send it to. I had that ready. I had the thing attached, all the info they needed in there, ready to go for when they asked me to send it. I called them back up. They never asked for it. They never asked for it. So I'm just assuming between yesterday and this morning, they were able to see it because they never asked me to send it. They never fucking asked me to send it. So it's not really a bad thing, I guess. It's just why the fuck? Why the fuck? Why the fuck does this shit have to be so complicated?
I know, right?
But in 7 to 10 days, I will have stickers to slap on my car.
Hey.
And then I can do this again in 2 more years.
That's pretty good.
Yay. But
Pretty good.
the stamps are on the way. They're on the way, so.
Good.
I'm just waiting now. Thank fuck.
That's some good news. We love
That is
good
good news. It's the goodest news I've had for a while.
In a minute, yeah. We love good news.
We do
Good
like-
job, Anthony.
we do like good news
You deserve
around
a stamp. And by stamp, I mean your thing, your sticker.
My sticker, my
You
car
deserve that.
deserves to be legal again.
Yes.
If I just remembered it was, or if I just realized it was May and not October, this wouldn't have been a big deal, but god damn it.
Hey, man, we all go through shit. We forget. So, it's not entirely your fault. I mean, it is, but shut up. Let yourself have an excuse for a minute.
No,
Yes.
that's not how that works.
Well, life doesn't want you to do that, but
No,
Shut
it
up.
doesn't.
Ring of Elements.
Hop up. There we go. Oh, I gotta move a little bit.
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Well, it would be dope to have like 4 times the points of everyone else on the channel. So what, more points than Boko?
Well, I don't know how many points Boko's got.
I mean, that's true. I was just listing everybody else on the channel. Since Eric said everyone else on the channel, I was like, so Boko.
Oh. You'll get up there eventually.
Eventually.
Arcane Magic Shield. At the cost of mana, reduces final damage taken by 25%. Temporarily shuts down if it fully depletes your mana. I'm not a fucking mage. It's a material though. Ooh, cross necklace. Define shield. Increases length of invincibility and I think it's the same thing but with that. Okay.
Ooh.
What is this? Ring of Elements. All debuffs wear off 100% faster, except for health and mana sickness. That's pretty overpowered. Oh, it's a material. Stone of Elements. Oh, it goes with the Philosopher's Stone. That checks out. That makes sense. I agree with that. Pretty fire. Sick accessory. A lot of herb bags. I'm cool with this. Ether torches. A note. A gravestone? Okay, cool. Oh, that's me. I died. Oops.
I think streaming Minecraft will help your channel grow. Honestly, that is something I have on the table. I just want to wait till... Well, wait until I get my sticker slapped on my car so I can go to Micro Center and get my CPU slapped in my PC. My new CPU. Because I would like to go back to using the bunny model instead of just the React thing. The Discord React thing I slapped together with it. But even then, I don't know how Minecraft will handle with streaming in general, just because I haven't streamed Minecraft before, so.
Minecraft probably won't handle very well at the current moment for you. It surprisingly takes a lot more resources than you would think it does.
It takes a lot.
Yeah, it does take a lot. It runs Java, so it has to, I think.
Yeah. I ain't no bedrock bitch, so.
Bedrock also takes a bit too.
Well,
But Bedrock
sure.
innately runs like shit for some reason.
Does it?
Yeah, it kind of runs like dog water.
Oh no.
It's like Java's just superior. It was the original anyway.
Yeah.
Made my mad big man Notch himself. Bedrock is like Notch, not affiliated with Notch at all.
Oh really? He has nothing to do with it?
No.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Nah, Notch is all Java. Or was all Java.
Oh, well, who's responsible for Bedrock then?
Microsoft.
Oh really? Just straight up Microsoft?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Oof, no wonder.
I mean, you know, they got the same stuff that Java's got, but there's like some changes. Like the fact that they don't have the combat update, which I think people are actually happy about.
Yeah, I'm kind of hit or miss on the combat update, honestly. I mean, it's kind of cool. But like at the same time, you don't have to use it. You can just keep spamming, and I don't think anything's different.
No, it's different. If you spam, you do less damage.
Oh. I mean, honestly, I just think Minecraft needs a combat overhaul in general. Because, like, the combat update, it's not... You're just waiting to slap instead of just mashing slap, so it's not really that different. Not really that different. But still, Minecraft is a game I plan on streaming. As far as I know what I'll stream in it, just my world, basically. I don't really have, like, I don't know what kind of mods are out there or, like, game modes or anything that I could find to play. Like, Sirkin does the PvP thing. I don't know any shit about that.
Or
anything like that. I don't want to.
Yeah, I figured.
I want to enjoy my time.
I like Minecraft. Minecraft is fun. It's a good time.
It is cool, for sure. Range, brutal shooting, machine against multiple enemies. Sure.
What's next?
Ah.
Golem? I don't want to fight Golem. He's boring.
Also, my pinky is gray-bluish after hitting it with the basketball. Ooh.
Oh my goodness. That
Sorry
means
to
you hit
hear
it
that.
hard. Holy
Yeah, that's
fuck.
wild. Goddamn.
That thing is bruised to all hell. I'm so sorry. I didn't get a... Man. To the pumpkin moon. I don't wanna, but I gotta. I'm gonna do it.
You have to.
I mean, I don't have to, but I want. I want stuff.
Oh well, well yeah. We all want
want
stuff, I
armor.
think.
I think we all want stuff. Yeah. Can you guess what class I'm playing?
Summoner.
Fuck yeah.
So say there ain't no way you're at Plantera and have only 32 armor with any other class, so. It's not that I remembered exactly how much armor one should have at that point, just that's a really low number for.
It's low, yeah.
And you just said you wanted armor from the Pumpkin Moon, so.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right.
That helps as well. The spooky
Wait,
armor.
can I just buy some from the dude? Oh, if it is a dude, I don't know what gender the witch doctor is.
Based on certain genre of fan art that was going around the Reddit like a year or so ago, male.
No, thank you. Oh, male. Okay. Oh, I can. 47. Oh.
I don't remember where it started from. Everyone was just drawing sexy witch doctor, and I'm like, why? Where'd this start? Like literally everybody was doing it.
Wait, is this better than? How much defense will I have? Oh, that's way better. Oh, that's hot. Okay.
Ah.
I'm kind of glad I bought that. Man, that wasted so much money though. It's fine. I got a Hercules beetle too. What does this make? I need necromantic. Okay, so regardless, I gotta do the pumpkin. Okay. Then what do I need to make a pumpkin moon spawner? Oh fuck my tits. Okay.
Any tits?
I gotta go to the dungeon. Need ectoplasm. God, I fucking hate the post-Plantera dungeon, dude. I fucking hate it. It's terrible.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's that bad.
It's awful.
I don't know.
It's terrible.
I mean, it sucks for sure, but dip in, dip out. There's no need to fully explore.
I don't even know how bad it's gonna be with this fucking mod on. I got the pumpkins, so I'm just gonna carry those for now, so I don't forget that I don't forget. And then hollowed bars. Do I even have any hollowed bars? No. Yeah, I gotta get some too. At least those are easy to get.
Want that monocle?
I like monocles.
Alright. Pretty dope. What you got? Chuck some salt. But actually aim.
Queen Bee's gonna hit me with her gamer girl urine.
Yo, that's unlocked. All thanks to the gamer girl urine.
Her gamer bee urine. Eggplant. That's sus.
Eggplant?
Eggplant summon. Yeah, why does an eggplant summon Dr. Bones?
I wonder
really
why.
like that. I don't like that.
I think I don't know why it does.
I don't really. I think I do, but I don't like it. I don't like
What's not
that
to
I know it. I plead the fifth.
Yeah, like eggs, right?
I do like eggs.
Yeah, like plants? That aren't
I do like
Plantera?
plants. That are not Plantera, I do like plants. Actually, I like Plantera. She's kind of hot. She's kind of thick.
I don't know about that, actually. I don't know if I could call it thick.
Nah, she's thick.
Oh.
She's got that dump truck.
What? Where? I don't think she has one.
She's got that dump truck,
I'm
bro.
gonna be real, don't think she has one.
Nah, she does.
Where? Where is it located?
Obviously,
I
on
see
her behind.
nothing on there that resembles a dump truck in any way, shape, or form.
You're just not looking in the right spots, my friend.
I mean, if I'm being real here, when I fight Plantera, I'm not looking for a dump truck. I'm looking for anything that I can shoot. So
She got that dump truck. She can definitely grab you pretty hard, and she's good at with her love bites.
I don't know
She's
if she
pretty
can
good.
grab. She has no grabbing abilities.
She can grab. She's got her arms. She can
never
grab
does
stuff.
though. She just slaps. We don't know if she can grab.
Actually, I think I think the saddest death I've ever had to Plantera was that I was fighting her, and then all of a sudden, like, she just moved slowly. She's slowly moving her grapple arm because it was first phase. This was a long time
Uh-huh.
ago though. Like, this was like
Okay.
early. She was moving her little arm, and she just happened to drop, like, to stop it on me, and it killed me.
Oh. Oh
I
no.
got fucking killed by her grapple arm, dude.
Shoot,
That was,
shoot,
like,
she was
pretty
like, holy
sad.
shit, I can't believe that worked.
That was pretty sad.
I didn't think I'd get this far.
I don't know. I never thought I'd get this far. What am I doing here? Am I trying to just play with my ass? What did I do here?
Why can't I not be trash?
Oh, right. I was trying to make a mechanical summon for hollow bars.
Hmm.
Skeletron Prime? I could take Skeletron Prime easily. How many summons can I have right now? 7? Okay.
I have a melee with this dude. Why don't I fucking use it?
Wait, is that 7? Yeah, it is 7. Okay. What's also another minion I can get currently?
Dude, I'm trying to find it. I'm sorry, I don't have your swarming trunks yet. I'm trying to find them though. I'm gonna go continue reading now. See you in like 1 hour. Good luck with the reading.
Good luck, yeah. That's really all I can say. I can't really say have fun because I don't know if books are fun for you, but
Well, even if books are fun, I don't know if I would call that kind of book fun.
when some people get a kick at learning stuff.
Sure.
Where's the leak, ma'am? Summons the golem without an altar. Was the golem enraged? Did he have an enrage mode? I don't think I know this.
Doesn't he enrage if you take him out the temple? I've heard that somewhere.
He might, but like, what's the difference?
Faster, probably? I don't know.
I'm gonna look.
Isn't that what all
right
enrage bosses are? They're just faster.
now.
That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Let's see. I
Maybe
guess except on
maybe
the
smites
exception
you with the
for-
power of hell. Or sorry, the the underworld because you took him out of his home. I don't know.
I was gonna say like all of them are faster with the
He actually
exception of
gets hard.
Empress, I guess. Let's see, Golem.
I missed.
Golem summoning behavior. Enraged. Okay, here we go. He does have an enraged. Golem becomes enraged if it has to follow the player outside of the underground jungle. Okay, so you can fight him in the underground, but as long as you just take him out anywhere else, he'll get mad.
Yeah.
Either through being led or awoken outside of it. This causes Golem to jump around faster, and if its head is below half health, it will fire his lasers faster. However, it does not have increased defense or damage. That's kind of weird. Golem will return to its normal behavior and will return to its... Okay, so all he does is just get faster and shoot faster, but he doesn't actually get any better stats. That's kind of different.
Do all the bosses, well. Do all the other bosses get better stats from their enrage?
Yes.
Oh. Huh. That was a little weird then. Maybe they just don't expect people to do it because why would...
Yeah, I guess
It would take a lot of effort to get him out the jungle. And like
Yeah, that's true.
his arena is usually enough anyways, so like even the smaller
He's not
arenas
fast.
aren't really a big deal.
Yeah, you're right. What is a Golem arena? Just the platform.
the platform, yeah, just a little above his spawner, yeah.
Small little platform. You got your Golem arena.
I don't even really use
Oh,
the
man.
platform honestly. I just make it to put down like my campfires and my heart lanterns and all that. I don't even really use
What's
it.
his name?
I just run
I
under
just do a
unless
semicircle around him.
There's been a couple times where the floor of his arena is a little fucky, so I do kind of sort of use the platform above, but normally it's not. So yeah, I just run under him or just fly over him, but not high enough to land on the platform.
All right, Skeleton Prime. I'm gonna kick your ass.
Your ass.
Earlier, I was a little embarrassed of myself because I almost, when I was fighting Skeletron Prime, I almost got. Actually, oh my god, I almost just died to him again right now. I am
Oh.
embarrassed.
Don't be doing that. That's a me move when I first fought him.
It's not even. The only thing that is hitting me is the fucking laser. Everything else just never hits me, but that laser does. It snipes me and does half my health. Well, it doesn't literally do half my health, but
It does a lot, probably.
it's so accurate.
It's
For
very
no
accurate.
reason.
It's like, why are you this accurate? Stop it. Stop
And I
it.
thought like
Get
Red
help.
Laser second form was more accurate, but no, that's his laser is oddly accurate.
Woo.
Skeleton Prime's arm, like laser arm, is like the most dangerous thing about him.
For real, if you can take care of that, you're pretty good to go.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I'm gonna die! I got 4 hearts! What the shit? Man, this music remix is dope though. What mod is giving me these music remixes? Whatever it is, I want to keep it because these remixes are pretty fire sounding. As someone that loves the Terraria tracks, I know you don't, but as someone that loves them, these tracks, like these remixes, are pretty fire.
I like some of them. We did that tier list once.
You're more
I put
you're
someone
more a
else.
fan of Otherworld.
Oh, it's just so much
I'm
better.
talking about bass. I'm talking about bass.
Oh, I know. There's a few of the base I like.
Name one.
I think Plantera's theme was one of them. Plantera and Empress's, I think, were two that I like.
Okay, I was gonna say Plantera probably just get the pass because it's guitar, but Empress doesn't get that same excuse. So you know what? I'll give you that one. Empress just sounds like you're trying to swat a mosquito off you in real life. Like,
Yeah,
that's the
what
music
is
that
it
plays
in-
when you're trying to find that mosquito that's been biting you, harassing you for the past 5 minutes.
Yeah. Right, so I got the tier lists. The tier list that we made pulled up. I saved it as a picture.
Oh, you did?
I got it pulled up, yeah. I was gonna say what's in S and A unless you want me to say them all. But in S, it's just two, and they're both Otherworld. Rain and the towers. The pillars.
Oh, the towers. Yeah, the pillars track is so
Yeah.
good.
But A has 3 bass soundtracks: Plantera, Empress, and apparently Frostmoon. I don't remember what that sounds like, but it must have been pretty good to be an A.
At the end of their guitar mix,
Oh,
like
okay.
Plantera's. It's just rock and roll Christmas music.
Oh. It was good enough to put an A though.
I mean, yeah, you liked it enough.
There's so many normal tracks in B. In B tier.
What you got?
Queen Bee, Underworld, Overworld Day,
Okay.
Alternate Day, Overworld Night, Underground, Title Screen, Ice, Crimson, Underground Ice, Ocean, Aether, Lizard, I'm assuming that's the temple, Mushrooms, Pumpkin Moon, Towers, Goblin Army, Old One's Army, Space Day, Day Remix, Morning Rain, and Journey's End credits, as far as the bass soundtrack.
Okay, I see.
Now, speaking of, and C, Deerclops, Town Night, Boss 2, Boss 3, Boss 1, I don't know why 2 and 3 are before 1, but whatever, Corruption, Jungle, Underground Hollow, Space, Rain, Underground Crimson, Desert, Eclipse, Martians, Pirates, Sandstorm, Ocean Night, Town Day, Underground Jungle, Jungle Night, Queen Slime, Alt Title, and Duke.
I'm surprised you have Sandstorm and Sea, since you don't like desert themings or Egyptian themings. So I'm surprised you have Sandstorm and Sea.
It must have been all right. I don't know. I don't remember I don't remember what it sounds like. It must have been all right, I guess.
I thought you would have put that in D or F.
There is one desert theme in F, but I'll get there. I'll get there.
I'm pretty sure it's the underground one.
Yes, absolutely horrible.
I don't know. I like the underground desert theme. It's
I
got a nice
can't.
guitar.
I can't do it. The guitar is the
Sounds
best thing
scary.
about it, but it's not. It's not enough.
It sounds
If
scary.
all other sounds got taken away, good. If
Though
it was just
I'm gonna be
guitar.
honest though, it sounds like the underground desert theme was like a theme I put in the background if I was like trying to dance while mowing my lawn. That's kind of what the
What the hell?
that's kind of what the theme kind of makes me think of. Just mowing my lawn while like all menacingly trying to get all those little sticker bastards out of my lawn.
Oh
You
man.
know those little things I'm talking about. I hate those fuckers.
Yeah.
That's what I think of the underground desert.
It's appropriate. It sounds appropriate for being the underground desert. I didn't make this tier list based on how appropriate the music sounded. I based it off of how much I like it. And
I
I
got you.
fucking hate it, which is why it's an F. If it was based on
Well, I mean, it is
appropriateness,
your tier list.
it'd be an ARS for appropriateness. So
It is your tier list, so you know you get the full credit on it, of course.
I do, and all the shit that comes with it, but I don't care.
Oh yeah, of course you don't.
D, I have Eerie, whatever the fuck Eerie is.
Oh, that's
Dungeon.
the Blood Moon theme.
Oh. Okay, so Eerie, Dungeon, Underground Corruption, Hollow,
Oh,
Boss 4. Wow, Boss 4 must have really sucked compared to 1, 2, and
Boss
3, which are in
4.
C.
Oh, that's Boss 4 is Golem
Oh. Oh, man.
and Cultist theme.
Oh, my boy Cultist, no.
I don't know why they share a theme. I don't know why. That's weird.
It's a little odd. I don't know, maybe the Cultist disrupted the temple before summoning the pillars? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Then again, freaking King Slime, Eye of Cthulhu, and Skeletron Prime share a theme, so it's like I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
these fucking mixtures going on here.
There's Alternate Underground, Windy Day, Slime Rain, Storm, and Graveyard. That's all.
Okay.
Then F, as we said before, Underground Desert, Rain Ambience,
Moonlord's in there.
Wind Ambience, and Moonlord. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured
it.
Moonlord was in there.
Yeah, so
I know Moonlord because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit.
it doesn't fit, and I just don't like how it sounds either.
I mean, I like it. I just don't think it fits.
Definitely
What is that?
does
Super
not fit.
Piranha. Get out of here. Oh my
Suits.
god, the Super Piranha murdered me.
Yeah, Lily, I don't need you here. Why are you here with me? Go away.
I am now hiding behind my crippling victim complex.
Excuse me. What the fuck?
Alright, resurrect. Alright, I'm back, bitches.
Ooh, don't melee those.
I do no damage. I'm scared. The underground. Oh, the underground. The dungeon sucks.
Why did
Ooh,
you,
is that a
why
bomb
did
me?
you know damage? You just beat Plantera.
My. I know, but my minions don't do enough.
Well, just slap him with your whip.
My whips also don't really seem to do enough.
Stack that shit.
I am. That's not working. Ah, I'm blind.
Oh.
I'm blind by one of your fucking magic skeletons.
The one of the blue ones. I think is
Which
it the
one
blue
was
ones
it?
that blind you? I don't know which one it is.
The ragcaster.
The rag. What color is the ragcaster? Or are they
It's
different
like
colored?
brown.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's the one that shoots like those white orbs that follow you.
Oh, yeah. The ghost, whatever, like the staff that you can find in there.
It's a pretty good weapon. It's really
It's a
good.
great weapon. Just not when
Yeah,
used
it's
on
really
you.
good. Oh yeah. Because unlike them, I can't inflict blindness on enemies, but they can. It's like, where's my blindness at, huh?
Your weapon is too high level. It's level 2. Ah, whatever.
Whoa, man! You gotta calm down. Level 2 is kind of high. You gotta calm.
Apparently level 2 is really high. What the fuck? I was like, okay, cool. I upgrade my weapon. I didn't really see what the
Dude.
stats were before, so I wanted to look at it, really make sure I saw what stats went up when I leveled it up. It said your level was too high.
Dude, you need to calm down.
I want power. More power.
No, you need to relax.
I can't win with more power. Without more power. Or with more power, apparently, but you know.
What am I here for again? Oh, ectoplasm.
Power.
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
and powers. Yes, you're also right. I would like some power. What can I get as a summoner from here? The Morning Star? Is that it? There's no minion in here? Oh, I can get... Oh, I can get the Desert Tiger. I need that. I want it.
You need it?
I want it. It's a minion. I want it.
Oh, Desert Tiger.
It's from the desert chest.
Oh, I don't think I've ever gotten that.
It's pretty good. It's not great, or like it's great. It's not fantastic. It's great. It's decent. Good. Decently great. Good.
Decently great.
Is decently great just good? Is that what good is? Decently great.
I mean, right? Because great would be, you know, better than good. It's great. But decent
Yeah.
is...
And then decent's like
Decent's
mid.
like,
Like good
yeah,
mid.
it's like okay. Yeah, mid. So, midly great. Or greatly mid.
Decently great is just good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just
what
good,
you're
it's just
saying
good.
decently great is just good.
It's just good. But I mean, hey, good still. Good, right?
Yeah. You're good. Why can't I have you as a minion? Where's my Neobunny minion?
I don't know.
With my God Whip. Steampunker, touch me. Wait, when do you sell steampunk wings? When do you sell those? Is it after Golem? Steampunk wings, let's see. If it's post Golem, then that sucks. Balls. But post Golem, god fucking motherfucker. You shit. I hate you.
Just go beat up a golem.
I don't wanna. I wanna get my stuff first. Cause then what if I beat Golem and then I'd start fighting Duke Fisher and then all of a sudden I get invaded by the fucking Martians? I'm not prepared for
You
it.
choose when to fight Duke, so just don't immediately go to Duke.
Well, shut up.
Uh-huh.
Stop being smart for 5 minutes.
Oh,
Be dumb.
oh, don't worry. You just missed the window. It's a very large window, let me tell you.
You know what else is large?
What?
The gap I have left to beat the game.
I don't know about that.
It's kind of small, actually.
Yeah, because you have Golem. As far as bosses go, you have Golem, Duke, Empress,
Excluding optional content.
Oh, but you,
It's just
but
Golem,
you, but you
Cultist,
always,
Moon Lord.
but you always do it. So that's why I'm saying it.
I know. Realistically speaking, though, they're optional. Duke and Empress.
They're optional, yeah.
Man, I fucking love Duke Vishon. He's such a cool fight.
He's not bad.
So fun. He's awesome. Not bad. He's awesome.
He's not bad. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was about to call her Empress. It's not Empress. It's Hatsune Miku.
Oh yeah, I forgot I have that mod. Yeah. Hatsune Miku.
The best mod ever.
Where's my Teto mod for a boss? And who would it be?
Teto would be,
Duke. I don't know shit about her, but Duke.
I can't see it, but I would love to be able to see it. Oh, you won't believe what I got in this run from a chest.
Oh, from a chest.
The greatest thing ever.
A bat.
No.
You always complain about not finding those.
I'm not even melee. I can't even use it. I did get 3 bats though, because you know, of course I did.
Of course.
It's just tradition.
From a chest. I have no idea.
Yes, sir. I got a menacing step stool.
Yo, no way.
Dude, I saw that. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna wear this.
I
I
assume
kept it on
was...
until I fought Queen Bee.
Oh, wow. I mean, menacing, so I can't blame you.
That's for the meme. Menacing step
Menacing
stool.
step stool.
And then I told myself, like, I know I'm wearing this for the meme, but I don't think it's worth it.
It may not be.
It wasn't.
Was that before you reached Queen Bee or after?
Before.
Ow. but you kept on anyways.
Yeah. Totally. When are you gonna get a menacing step stool?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I'd wear it up to Queen Bee, but I would definitely keep it. Like, that's not something I'd sell. I keep it in my storage, because holy shit, it's menacing.
Be mooed with it. The step stool with menacing step stool on.
Can I beat the game with a menacing step stool?
No.
No, because it's not a weapon. Dumb fuck.
Yeah, you dumb bitch. I want to do a backflip, but I can't. I'm scared of breaking my neck.
I mean, how are you going to be able to do it if you never try?
Shit, you right. We'll try right now.
I just hear a cracking. I just hear like a loud thump and like followed by a crack, or vice versa, depending on how you land, I guess. But was that a celebratory thump? I can't tell.
Followed by silence. Rob, you good?
You there?
Did you do it? Are you winning?
He's shouting so loud in excitement that Discord's not picking him up. The noise cancellation is working for once. They're not picking him up. That must be it. That must be it.
Yeah.
Ah.
What else can I get from the Pumpkin Moon besides the armor? Let's see. Oh, the Witch's Broom. Ooh, that's good. What else? Oh, the Raven Staff? Dark Harvest? Okay, yeah, I need to do Pumpkin Moon.
Oh, the Raven
not even
Staff.
up
That's pretty
anymore.
good.
It's really
I forgot
good.
about that. You know, super good.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Super
do Pumpkin
hot,
Moon. It's not.
you could say.
It's not an option anymore. I just gotta do it. Alright. See Pumpkin Moon medallion. Let's go. Okay. Now I gotta make sure that I'm actually capable of surviving.
Current objective: survive.
Current objective: survive. Let's go buy some venom.
Ooh.
Venom. How much money do I have? Not a lot. I'm broke as shit. Okay, never mind. Let's not do that.
How much do you have?
No, not even a platinum. I'm
Wow, I'm actually surprised. You usually have so
Me
much
too.
by that point.
broke. I know. Me too.
Goblin really fucking you
awkward.
over?
Huh?
Goblin really fucking you over this time?
Kinda. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah, he was.
A little bitch.
What an asshole. He was trying to smoke. He was trying to put smoke on the Barbie, but instead he was smoking my balls. He doesn't
There's
know
a
how to
reason I always
cook.
call him Squid Bitch.
Squidward.
I mean, there's another reason I call him that too, but you know, there's one reason why I call him
Yeah.
that.
It's just funnier that way.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have enough cursed flames? No, I have Ichor.
It's kind of close, right?
Yes.
It's cursing away.
I forgot. Yeah, this mod makes it to where both of them spawn in your world.
Oh. Okay.
Do I want Ichor
Both.
though?
Wait. Both biomes or just both materials?
Yeah, both biomes.
Oh,
Both
okay.
biomes.
Okay, so you could just go get some.
Do I want Ichor though? I mean, Ichor's good.
What are you gonna use it for?
A flask.
Ooh.
But it's like this now. It's like
I
the age-old
always-
question.
I always think about that, like, oh, technically, which is better?
Yeah, it's like that. Like at this point, it's just the age-old question: what would I prefer, corruption or crimson, or in this case, curse flame or ichor? What would
Right,
I
because
prefer?
one lowers their defense, and the other gives them Cursed Flame Dot, which is pretty strong.
Yeah, it's curse flame dot is pretty good. It's underrated.
Is it really? Do people usually go for Ichor?
Yes.
Oh. Isn't it only like 10 defense or something?
It's 20.
Oh, well, even then though, the Cursed Flames it is 20, isn't it?
It's
15, 20, somewhere around there?
let me look.
I
So
know I've
I'll
looked
give
this
you
up
full-
before, so I'm pretty sure I'm close as far as the Cursed Flame damage goes, but like,
It might be 15.
even if it's 15 and not 20, like, it's... I'm pretty sure I always go Cursed Flame, just because, I mean, yeah, 10 defense, sure, that's something, but is it really that much? Is it really that much when you can just be constantly slapping them with 15? 15 dots. 15 dot damage. Right, and especially with someone like me, who isn't the best at aiming. Like, I can afford to miss a few times because, you know, they're getting slapped with the dot.
Yeah.
Of course, that's really more of a personal thing for me. If I was playing perfect, then I don't know which would be better overall, but I still don't think 10, or yeah, 10 is all that much. At that point in the game, at least, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand how defense works correctly. Hello, Resinishpa? How you doing? I recently got back into this game. This is my second time playing it. It's pretty cool. Oop, don't do that.
It is 15. It's 15.
15 damage. Curse flame
15
damage.
per second, yeah.
Okay.
And then ichor.
Yeah, I can never come up with a definitive, like there was no real definitive answer. There's like pretty, at least from what I was reading, there was some pretty even back and forth on it, so I don't know. I just go with the dot.
Yeah, fair enough. Ichor is.
But I
less defense
mean,
would drop you.
less defense is still less defense, so
Oh, it's 15. Okay.
15 less defense? Oh, so it's 15.
Yes. Yes. I never noticed actually that too. I never noticed that Cursed Flame has more. It has more enemies that drop it compared to Ichor.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. I never noticed that.
All the spots I kind of farm in, I guess just never paid attention to what specifically dropped it, because I always find a spot where enemies drop both, so I'm just like, okay, this works.
I mean, it's only by one, but that's still a difference.
Okay, so 15 and 15. Is defense just flat? Like if, you know, like an enemy has 20 defense, right? Is it just flat 20 less damage, or is there actual, like, is there more to it than that?
I'm pretty sure there's more to it than that.
I've heard people say it both ways, which is why I'm like, oh, well, 15's not that much then if it's just flat. I mean, it's still something, you know. Doing, you know, if you're hitting enemies as much as you do at the point in the game you're at, you know, an enemy with 20 defense only taking 5 damage over time stacks, but like at the same time, if it is just flat, then
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's flat.
wait,
Or
you're
not flat. I'm
pretty
pretty
sure.
sure it's more than that. So
Okay, I was about to say
because I think it's a formula defense,
formulaic.
which formulas are usually complicated.
Yeah. Meteor cannon.
So I guess but I mean I guess Ichor is good, cool, because like it's
Oh.
basically like you basically do more damage yourself.
Right.
But it's like Curse Flame. It's like, what if you're not hitting? What if you're missing? Or what if you just want to retreat? You still got some damage going on the field,
Exactly. So
and it lasts pretty well. It lasts a pretty decent amount of time. Plus, I could stack with other debuffs like Shadow Flame
That's true, yeah.
or
You can get
Frostburn.
big dots, big dots.
Yeah, big dots, fire, poison.
Big dots, big dots, big dots. Okay, stop dots.
Plus, it's like, you know, if they're going against you, you know, what's the bigger evil going against you, Ichor or First Flame? Which one would you rather not get hit by?
I would
mean,
rather not
obviously
get
getting
hit
hit by
by Cursed Flame.
Yeah, that's just say enough.
That is true, yeah, that is true. I never thought about it that way. What should I rather be hit by?
It's like if there's an Ichor sticker and a Klinger sitting next to each other, and they both shoot at you, and you have to get you have to get out of the way, otherwise you're gonna die from something in the middle. And when you get out of the way, it's like, would you rather get hit by the Ichor sticker or the Klinger shooting at you? Either both of them shooting at you. What would you rather get hit by?
That is so true, yeah. I never thought about that. Or I never thought about it that way. Like, yeah, which would I rather get hit by? Aww.
Yeah, I'll take the Ichor, because at least then, like, if I take the Ichor, I'll just get hit once and then I'll run away. But if it's the Cursed Flame, I'll take the damage from the impact and then the dot damage afterwards. Yeah, fuck that. No, thank you.
That's true, yeah. Even if you run away while cursed, you're still cursed. You're still gonna be taking that damage.
Yeah.
As long as you don't get hit again, you can wait for the Ichor thing to wear off, and then you'll be good.
Yeah.
Which I believe you can do.
Plus,
Me, not so much.
Plus, it's a dot. It's like yeah, Ichor lowers defense, but dot ignores defense. So what does it matter?
That's true, yeah, yeah.
And when I get it, it's like the enemies you're gonna be using them against, like bosses, for example, like they have a lot of health. But it's like you can for any argument you're gonna say about the Cursed Flames. Someone knock on my door.
Oh. Dragoon water? Well. Oh, what the? Okay. Oh, okay, sure, why not? Some AoE in here because this thing's not. You don't do anything. Why are you here? Stop it. Sorry, dude. Sure. Oh, I can upgrade this one too? Oh, is it based on my level? Must be, okay. Okay, fair. Increase on the fire rate, okay. I keep forgetting I have this thing, the Bastion thing, but it's whatever. Last time? Oh, Billy Boo, good. If I had to beat this dude, I've only fought him once, but he seemed easier than the drill dude. Well, kind of. This kind of throws me off, but... I should use my Bastion while he's doing that. I keep forgetting I have that. Let's turn it off. Oh, I got him at his feet. Okay. Well, that's pretty fast, though. It's pretty fast. Ow. I can aim at his feet and focus on aiming at his feet. This may not be a good idea. You can run and reload. I do like that. Another reason to compare this to Borderlands. No, it's not the only game that does that, but still. Ooh, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. I should be using that way more. Oh, I need to press that no matter what. I pressed it last time because I was like, oh, this is a little suspicious, but got it. I gotta... Good chunk. Okay. Guess after I saw that meter, I was like, probably shouldn't do that. Ow. Fuck off. Okay. Oh. Fuck you, dude. Cool. So that chapter 1. Ooh, so if you're a different survivor, I wonder if the scene changes to be the different robot dude. Even if it's not, still cool. Whoa, that's a big front door. Let's crack it open. Good to go. Hold tight. Oh. Hey, chapter 1. There we go. Oh. Oh, I'm just right in the next run. Okay. Anything in here? There was a few hidden things. Excuse me. There were a few hidden things in the starting area of the first chapter, I guess, so... Gotta take a look first. Don't know if there will be, though. Ooh, yes, there is. Okay. And here, where else can I go? Ooh, don't do that. Okay. Couple pipes? Yes. Wall. No, that it. The area was a little bigger in the last chapter, so I guess that's fair. Alright. Down here. Take that. What you got? Dual boomsticks. Oh, what the? Okay. What the hell? Oh no, it's kind of cool though. 6. Ooh, that's nice. Oh, explosion radius. Well, 10%'s not a whole lot. You know what? Give me the gingerbread. Yeah, there we go. Nom nom. Can't pull anything up here. Oh, that's rocket jumping. Hey, yo. Okay. Cool. That's probably what they mean by that. I need to... Oh, neat, I never saw one of those. Oh, really? It's interesting. Oh no, I know that the game... I saw that the game's like not going to receive any more updates or anything, so... And I've, like I said, I only played this. My first time playing this was... say Tuesday, yesterday. So, I don't know. I don't know if those have... I don't know if those are added in or if those have always been in there. I don't know. Oh, hi. Oh my god. Taking down enemy has 10% chance to drop. Ooh. Taking down, so I gotta slap him. Yeah. Let's do the fire rate, I guess. Don't think I'm making it past chapter 2 at the moment, but... Oh, jeez. Oh, was that homing? Oh, good. Okay, okay. Oh my god, what the
Okay.
hell?
I'm here.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh,
I got hungry, so I'm just making some,
hmm. What you making?
just some patties.
Patties. What
Yeah.
kind of patties?
I'm gonna make myself some burger.
Hmm.
A burger. Not really a burger, it's more of a sandwich.
Isn't a burger a sandwich?
Depends on how you look at it, you bastard.
What? Okay. What's the way of looking at it that does not qualify it as a sandwich?
I don't know. I guess the bread you use.
What? I thought a sandwich was just classified as bread, stuff between bread.
I don't know.
I
Well,
had
then
to
what's
think it was a
classified a
specific
burger?
kind of bread. Beef.
Oh, I'm not using beef.
Well, what are you using?
I'm just using chicken.
Ah,
Chicken patties.
there you go. Yeah, chicken patty, chicken sandwich. Yeah. If
Yeah,
I think
chicken
burger, I
sandwich.
think, you know, circle, circle of beef.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm gonna make myself chicken sandwich.
Ooh.
Chicken sandwich? So,
Everybody's second favorite
today...
Everybody's second favorite degenerate in chat. Wanna guess who said that?
What? Ooh,
Boca. Hi, Boca. Welcome.
what an introduction. But hi, Becca. So, today, I need your opinion on this. I don't know.
Is it
I
a
kind of
serious
felt
thing?
rude. No, it's not a serious thing. It's just
Okay.
it's something that seems kind of stupid. But I need your opinion on this. Chat, YouTube, if you are listening or care. But so, what you call it? I went to go eat lunch, right? Like, just around like 4:30. I think it was 4:30. I went to go eat lunch with Zoe, right? We're just gonna hang out. We're gonna hang out, just eat lunch, enjoy our time.
Sure.
But when I asked her, she was talking to one of her friends already.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they were hanging out. I was like,
Okay.
okay. Um, I was like, okay, well, maybe we can do this later. And she's like, no, let's go.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. And she called me, and she said that she was gonna drop her friend off.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm sorry to end y'all's time early. And I hear her friend in the back, and she's like, hey, mind if I tap?
Wait. You cut out. Say that again. You said you heard a friend in the background saying.
Oh, I heard her friend in the background. She said, she was like, hey, mind if I tag along?
Oh, okay.
And Zoe responds, she was like, only if he's okay with it, like me.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. I was like, I'm cool with it. Just make sure you bring your wallet and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
And we were good. So we went to go. Then we went to go eat. And while we were eating, I felt a little awkward because I wasn't really able to contribute to girl talk, so I was just kind of there.
You hadn't not met it before.
I mean, I could talk. No, I haven't. Not this person.
Okay.
But I was able to talk. Zoe made sure I wasn't left out of the conversations. I was able to talk, and I talked to the friend too a few times.
Okay. Sure.
And she was cool. Like she was sweet. She was nice. She was sweet. It was cool. But we got to like the end of our meal.
Mm-hmm.
We ate everything, and what you call it? I told, or while we were talking, while they were talking, I was, we were getting ready to go.
Okay.
And, I was getting ready to pay. And the lady comes by, and she's like, how are we gonna pay? And I said, oh, just do 2 checks. And she's like, okay, got it. And she leaves to go get, her stuff. And her friend looks at me, and she's like, 2? I was like, yeah,
Oh boy.
2 checks. And she's like, but aren't you supposed to pay for this? I was like, what? Excuse me?
Oh no.
And Zoe looks at me, she's like, she gives me the face where she's, And her friend
Was
goes
she?
like,
Wait. The face was she what?
the face. She gave me a face that just screamed, "Oh boy!"
Oh
Like, oh no.
no.
And her friend looks at me and uh, she's like, I thought you were gonna pay for this. I was like, I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pay for me and Zoe because that was my original idea. You invited yourself, and I said it was okay, and I even told you to bring your wallet.
Yeah.
So what's the sudden change of idea here? Like what's going on? Like why are you suddenly asking me to or getting throwing an opinion at me that I should pay when I told you that that I told you everything, like bringing your wallet and like basically hinting that you were gonna pay for yourself. What's wrong? And I could tell she was salty. She goes, oh, nothing, never mind, and she just didn't say a word for the rest of the time. And I mean, like, even though
Man.
I gave her fair warning, I still felt like shit. But I feel like that was like completely unwarranted. I literally had no reason to do it. But it happened.
You are not the asshole.
That's what I was saying.
This is an I am the asshole subreddit question. You are not the asshole. You told her, bring your wallet. That should have been an indicator enough. Hey, I'm not paying for you.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's what I was like thinking after like I got home, after everything. But I really appreciated Zoe in that moment because when the lady came back, she gave us our checks.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoe, like, when the lady walks away, Zoe looks at me, hey. She's like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Just confused on why like I should suddenly pay for someone that I didn't even invite. And she's like, yeah, I get it. She's like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
She talks to her friend. She talks to her friend. I just kind of zoned them out. I pay for me and Zoe's.
Yeah.
And what you call it? During like while I was paying, you know what Zoe does? Like while she's talking to her friend, she pulls out her wallet and places her card on the check.
Aw.
And I'm like, oh, you don't need to. I was willing to pay for this. And she just looks at me. She nods, and then she just taps her hand on her card. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's a symbol. I guess that's a sign that I'm not paying for this.
That's a sign to let her do a thing.
Yeah, I felt really bad about that, but I mean, she said she got it. But I'll get the next one. And I guess their conversation ended, and when the conversation did end, her friend, I saw her friend pull out her own card and place it on the check. And, after that,
Well, as she should have, yeah.
as she should have, yeah. They went back to normal, but I could tell that like it was pretty obvious that she wasn't happy with me because her friend didn't say.
I mean,
We tried to introduce me to the
yeah.
conversation. She never said anything to me, so.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we left, when we dropped her off, Zoe was like, you know what? Zoe looked at me. She was like, I'll make sure not to invite her again. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, sounds like a plan.
Based. Based response right there. Yeah, no, that is not your fault. Like, what the fuck? You gave a warning.
Yeah.
You didn't directly say it, but she clearly needs to learn context clues.
Yeah.
Hey, you can come. Make sure you bring your wallet.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I'm
she
fine with you coming,
thought that
but
meant.
I'm not going to pay for you if I'm not the one that invited you. If I'm the one that invited you, then yes, I'm gonna consider paying. But I'm not the one that invited you. You invited yourself.
Yeah.
I didn't go up to you and I didn't ask you, hey, do you want to join us? You asked me if you could join. That's different.
It's very different.
So it's like, wow.
You gotta be ready to
And
open
then
up
you
that
wanna-
wallet if you wanna just invite yourself like that. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And then you want to throw
Right,
it
that
at
was
me?
the
It's like,
timer. Damn
dude,
it.
what?
I forgot about
Don't even
that.
try, man.
Yeah, that's not okay. That's not okay.
I'm good now, though.
Boko said, yeah, if it was in the position, I would have assumed I was gonna split the bill anyways. I think splitting the bill is the best thing to do, especially because with my grandma, she's always fighting with my aunt on who's gonna pay. Yeah, no.
It's like you just
Yeah,
pay your own check.
yeah, you're not the asshole.
Right back. I'm gonna go check on my food.
Okay. This is the name, dude. Explosive rocket, shotgun. Oh god, I'm gonna forget. I'm so used to this dude's bash being a melee move. I assigned it to my melee button because they're like, oh, bash, it's a melee attack. Surely they all have melee attacks. No, they don't. Takedowns generate 2 fury points. Rocket and Shorty hit. Rocky and Shorty. Oh, the shotgun, okay. Spots generate 4. Max 16, each point increases. Boomies. Try it out, I guess. Sure, I do. Okay, it's a single rocket. Ooh. Am I gonna have to... Yeah, I'm gonna have to... Where... Whoop. Oh, you do more. Hello. Okay. Then... Oh. Okay, the indicator that... Oh, that bar as well. Okay. Try to do that, I guess. No, it's not. You should pay a check. It's I'm gonna pay a check. I don't want to have to argue. Well, also because yesterday I had a sudden urge to draw random creepypasta slop. Was that one with the computer screen? Was that a creepypasta one? Which one was that one? Hold on. The third one. Oh, it's YouTube 666. Your username 666. Okay, I was just so distracted by the Zam thing. But okay. Never mind. I see. Don't mind me. What is that? Sling gun, dual Uzis. I don't like the dual Uzis. Oh no, I actually got aim though. Problem. Which one? Oh yeah, oh yeah, I have the rocket though. You. Thank God you don't take damage from your own AoE stuff, because man. I don't blame him. Okay. I can remember to use it. And I think it's a melee attack. Hello, I saw that. What the? Why is that still? Hey, Windows, stop. Windows, hey, stop. How do I? I'm tabbed in. Windows, what are you doing? I mean, you guys can't see it, so it's not that big a deal, I guess. But got a little issue happening behind the reactives there. I don't know why, but my Windows thing is not. Hold on, where they at? I can't get rid of that window over the health bar. What the fuck? It's just not going away. You guys can't see it in this mode, but still, it's like, ah. Critical damage is 2% chance for each fury point to deal increase. Okay. Weapons and shorty damage. Okay, so close range. Oh, point. We should baby crying. I'll make them stop. I mean, he definitely would make them stop, but I don't know if that's a good thing. I say I don't know. I know it's not. Flare gun. Splasher. Both intrigue me. That one, I guess. Oh, hello. They bounce. Cool. What do I have? Eat. Mic explosion. Yeah, resting does nothing though, and you don't do shit anyways.
What the dog doing? What the dog doing? I'm back, my friend.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back, dog.
Hi. I got my sandwich. Yummy.
Oh, I like this one. Okay. Nice.
I like you.
What'd you put on it?
Yes.
Not me. Okay.
Yeah, put you on it. I'm gonna eat you.
That's
Rar.
not ideal. Ooh.
Rar XD. Oh, well, now.
Rar XDW.
XDW.
Don't forget the W.
You know,
It's
I never
important.
used the W.
Really?
Yeah.
I had friends in high school who always used the W. That's the reason why I say XDW, because they used it. I was like, okay, I guess that's how it's supposed to be. Cool, I guess.
Did I ever know anybody that used the W? I don't think so.
Go to sleep, go to
Yeah,
sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
Anytime I see go to sleep like said like that over and over, I just think of the very first Avengers movie where what is it, Iron Man, I think, trying to, in his like Hulkbuster armor, trying to make Hulk go to sleep, and he's just punching him in the face, saying go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. That's what I always think of when I see go to sleep over and over like that.
That's like the puny human concept.
Yeah.
Was that Hulk that did that? Puny human? That was Hulk, right?
I think so.
He just grabbed him by
It
the
definitely
foot and just started like slamming him over his shoulder over and over.
Yeah, because it didn't do shit, because it's Hulk.
Yeah.
That definitely sounds like something Hulk would say, puny human, though, so it probably was.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, there we go.
Just don't want to be wrong and sound like a huge idiot. Oh my god, I fucking exploded.
Don't do that. What
I
exploded
got bombed by a clown.
Right. I was like, what the fuck exploded you in the pumpkin moon? I forgot the clowns. Called the pumpkin
No,
bombs.
I was gonna do a pumpkin moon, but I got a blood moon instead, and so I didn't do it yet.
Oh, the part of the blood moon. Okay, I could see them
And
being part of the pumpkin moon.
I can too.
I forget which they're.
I hate clowns.
Especially when they throw bombs at you.
Yeah. Ouch.
Considering how fast you are, I did the right thing by fully refilling the hover bus energy. Yeah, why are you even here? You don't do shit. Stop being here. Ooh, Oh, hold on. Oh, I never crouched though. I never crouched unless I need to slide under something though, so... Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. I know it's not quite the same as yours, Rob, but give me a moment. I got something to show you.
Oh, okay.
It's got
I'm
a
ready, I think.
cool. Okay, do that. It's not gonna match the that yours has, but
Okay.
or had. I don't know if you still have it, but you did at one point.
Oh, well, I'm super curious now. You piqued my curiosity.
I was about to send that to Boca. Whoops.
Oh.
You, because she sent me some images that she drew. Oh my god, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, are you sure?
Mm. Mm.
There we go.
I forgot. I forgot it wasn't the normal patties. It was the spicy ones. I forgot.
XDW. It was clipped. Holy shit.
My spicy patties, which I prefer,
Your
but
spice.
I just forgot they were the spicy ones on the
You,
normal ones.
you were just like, this is fine.
Yeah, I just bit into it like nothing.
You're like, oh,
This wasn't
nom, nom,
expecting it.
nom. Oh, so delicious.
All right, let me see. Oh no! Oh no way! The stool.
I really wish I could send messages without pinging. Oh no. The uwu was clipped. My second clipped uwu. So I kind of lower my just a little bit.
I'm gonna copyright the step stool.
It's not quite as. It's not on the same level as yours, I know, but I saw this and I was like, he has to know, he has to know. That and I just didn't expect to see one of those in this game, so.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna copyright it though, so I'm gonna sue you.
You're gonna copyright step stools?
Yeah.
How are you gonna do that?
I don't know. That's how Americans do things, right? They just copyright everything.
I mean, you're not wrong. A barbershop haircut that cost $0.25. Excuse me. That.
You know, that's another reason I never. I want to text my dad something. Sometimes I can't multitask.
No, I feel that. Don't worry.
That's another reason why. That's another reason I have long hair. Because
barbershops only cost $0.25.
It's relating to that. More like they were expensive.
Oh, so the opposite.
My dad, the two reasons he let me grow up my hair was because he was curious on what it would look like.
Fair.
And then two, because they were barbershops, which are expensive.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they are.
He cut my hair himself sometimes, but like he was kind of scared to. He didn't really want to do it wrong or make me look weird.
Okay. Okay, fair.
But then, you know, long hair just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? I dig this.
My dad likes it too, so it's like...
And fucks with this. I mean, it's a win-win, so...
Right now, I'm gonna pump the noon. Is there another minion I can get right now? I can get the Plantera one, but I don't care about it. What's another minion I can get? The Deadly Spear from the Clips? I can get that.
Martians? Or is that after Golem?
After Golem.
Oh, okay. Time it out for a second. Gotta go blam something real quick.
I could get Duke Fish runs.
Man, there we go. Get the fuck out. You could, yeah.
There's another one you can get. I always see the Pumpkin Moon one.
Coffee spelled backwards is F-fuck? Which is funny because until I've had my coffee, I don't give a fuck about anything. Oh shit, I like that. I really wish that video was longer. I can say the whole thing in one sentence. Adrian explanation, our friend group. Dude, the TikTok on funny brain rot is getting to me. Oh no. Don't let the brain rot get to you. It's doing exactly what it's described as, brain rot. You can't let that happen.
Yeah, rotting your brain.
I mean,
Type 1 if you
could, but like, it doesn't do anything for you. Nothing good. Okay.
Are you gonna type 1, Anthony?
Wait, type what?
Are you gonna type 1?
Am I gonna type 1?
Yeah, the number 1.
Oh, why?
Because you drink coffee.
Wait. Hey, wait.
I said type 1 if you drink coffee.
Oh. Well, yes, I would then. I had some just yesterday.
No, well then type your 1.
I was gonna say today, but I did not.
Type your 1.
What, like in Discord?
Or wherever. Your chat, your Twitch chat, Discord, or phone, wherever you want to type it. Type 1.
Sure. There. Now what?
Now everyone knows you drink coffee.
I told them I did though. Do I really need to put the 1 out there?
Oh, I'm glad you were cackling at that, Bucko. I don't really know if that fits my humor, though. I need some better wings. I just realized I'm still rocking harpy wings.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm rocking harpy wings apparently. Jeez.
Aren't there better than harpy wings in the very beginning of hard mode? Right, because there's like one tier you
These
can
are the
do.
first wings I got, and then I just kept them.
Oh man, what the fuck? What are you doing?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But I guess with this pumpkin moon, I can hopefully get spooky wings.
Oh yeah.
Or Mothman wings if I get an eclipse, but it's daytime currently, so
Right, that's eclipse, not
at the moment.
the moon. God damn it.
Get your facts straight.
It's been a while.
Well, shut up.
You could have easily. I thought you were gonna respond with, then just play it. No, he surprisingly did not. So.
No, I had better refute.
Just shut up.
Here's a quiz for you.
Oh.
True or false? You ready?
Sure.
Okay. True or false? The destroyer enrages when it hits daytime.
Oh, you want? Oh. Enrages.
Enrages.
Oh, destroyer. No, it leaves. I guess false. Yeah.
You're correct. Okay. True or false? The twins enrage in daytime.
Also false. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. Also false. They leave as well.
Correct. Okay. True or false? Skeletron Prime enrages in the daytime.
Oh, does he enrage? Does he leave? Man, you asking these one by one is kind of fucking with me.
That's the point.
I know. Stop it.
I believe in you.
I don't know if that's a good idea. Hello.
Well, I do.
Let's see here, enrage. Well, that's not the question, because I don't know that answer specifically. I'm trying to think if he leaves once it hits day, like the other two do. I don't think I've ever fought him and not beat him before day. It's either I beat him before day or he beats me. Ergo, he vanishes because I'm the only one alive. Or it's the only one alive, so it naturally goes away.
You got this, bro.
I guess I'm just gonna say fuck it and say false as well, but I don't know. I actually don't know that one.
It's wrong. It's true.
This is why you don't believe.
He turns into the dungeon guardian in daytime.
What the fuck?
Where he
Really?
nukes your ass.
Really?
Yeah, he just spins and nukes your ass.
Why?
I don't know.
What the hell? Okay, yeah, no, I've never had that happen to me, so no, I've never let it get to day and me still be alive.
Okay, well there you go.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Okay, let's see. True or false? Deer claps and rages outside the snow biome.
See, I know he doesn't go away at day. He stays for like 24 hours or some shit. Does he enrage? I've never tried to bring him outside the snow. Yeah, yes, this is a pure 50-50 guess here, yes.
False.
Damn it. That's why you shouldn't believe in my guesses.
True or false? Duke Fishron enrages outside the ocean.
Yeah, true.
Correct. True or false? Empress of Light enrages outside the hollow.
False.
Correct. In the day.
Okay, I was about to say that's a tricky one for me because I've only fought her on expert and she's always enraged in expert. So yeah. I didn't know. I never noticed a change in pattern when I brought her out the hollow just because I fly everywhere when I fight her.
You're correct.
Okay.
Okay. True or false? Let's see. True or false? The Eater Worlds and Brain of Cthulhu enrage when outside their evil biome.
True. Both of them?
Yes.
True. It is another 50-50. I never brought them outside their biomes. I'm gonna say true.
False. They leave.
Oh, they just leave. Okay.
They say, "Fuck it, you're too far away." And fuck off.
They're like, our turf or no. Or no. Or no.
Or no. Alright, here's some bonus questions for you. Alright. What happens if you attempt to fly above hell during the Wall of Flesh fight?
You die.
No.
No?
You get pulled back down by the wall.
Oh. How's that happen? Do you just get like
If you like fly up to the cavern layer, from hell,
uh-huh.
if you just go up, he'll pull you back down.
Right, but
drag
like
you back down to hell.
but
He
to
licks
like
you.
do that, do you like get the like shimmer effect to phase through blocks or something? Like do you just phase through blocks? Like how's
Yeah,
it
you
pull
get a debuff called I think it's straight up just called licked, and it's basically just the wall like
It's just
dragging
called-
you through all the blocks, and he
it's
just
just called
brings you like within I think 10 blocks in front of him.
Okay.
And then another bonus question: what happens if you magic mirror during the fight?
You die doing that. I've done
Yes.
that to specifically save my money if I'm about to die to it.
Yes, you die. You explode
Yeah, yeah.
for some reason.
You get to live long enough to be at your base for 1 frame. That's it. And you explode. I imagine everybody in the vicinity of your base is like, what the fuck just happened?
hmm They just see you explode. They're like, what the?
Yeah.
They just see like exploding human just emerge out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden they're covered in begins. They're like, what the?
Yeah, they're like, what just
What is
happened?
this? Ooh, free mirror.
Yeah. Money.
Ooh, money. You get to pawn this off at the traveling merchant later.
Right? Like, what the fuck? Oh my god. I don't know why, but I'm imagining this as the meta 10 fight where you lose 50% health for every question you answer wrong. Ooh. It kind of is
Well,
what
how
it
many
is, though. That was
questions you
super
won?
tense the very first time I went through that section.
What? Turn nighttime already, so I can. Oh, you know what? I got this thing.
Got it. Actually, what thing?
Portable sundial.
Ooh. Oh, wait. Is that a base
There's
game
always
thing?
a message. Portable sundial?
Yeah.
I'm playing modded.
Oh, are you? It's not showing. I thought you were playing base the whole time because it's not showing your little like in the Steam library thing, what shows the little green dude next
Haven't I
to
mentioned I was
something
playing
that's
modded like a
that's
few
playing.
times already?
Have you? I don't know.
I thought I have.
No, you did because you mentioned the 2 biomes, the 2 evil biomes, in one thing. That's fair. I didn't think about that, but the fact that Steam has your little green dude next to Terraria and not team mod loaded threw me off. I guess I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's weird. My the little like how like for some reason Terraria just has like the funny little quote on top of the window on the window border.
Okay, yeah.
Mine says Terraria, a spelunker says what?
Hmm.
That's pretty funny. I like
Splinker
that.
says
I like that.
what?
I like that Terraria does that. Just gets a little laugh out of me every now and then.
That is cool. That is cool.
That's cute.
I like how I like how Terraria has Go Play Minecraft and Minecraft has Go Play Terraria.
Yeah, me too. That's nice.
There should be one for
Did-
Terraria that says, I am not like Minecraft. Stop it.
I am not 2D. I am not 2D Minecraft.
I'm
And
not
Minecraft is. I am
2D
not
Minecraft.
3D Terraria.
Yeah.
Did Minecraft ever get anything from Terraria? That's like a little crossover.
Not that I know of.
Hmm.
I don't know every single little update that Minecraft has had, but I've never heard anything about Minecraft officially having any Terraria stuff, so from my
I guess aside from
perspective,
the quote.
no.
I guess aside from the quote, that was it.
Ooh.
I mean, I suppose it's fine. Well, that's an interesting sprite for this
Does
guy. Oh, what the?
does Terraria have any Minecraft stuff though?
Yeah, it's got a it's only from like the Halloween goodie bags, but there's a creeper outfit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Ah. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, okay, I'm good.
He is having issues, I think.
Sorry, I almost died. Almost got my shit pushed in
Mm.
by a morning wood. That sounds really weird.
Oh man, it's very powerful.
I mean, it definitely would be able to push your shit back in, quite literally.
Yeah, you don't want that, but yeah.
No, I'm not into that, no. By the way, I really want to ask the devs why they decided to name that. Name that.
I think there's other names that we could question as well, but
I mean, there's plenty of names I want to question, but this is definitely one. This is definitely high up there.
yeah, I mean, we all know why they did. They
I
100%
mean,
knew what they were
yeah,
doing.
but like, I was just curious if it was just for the funny or.
I don't, probably just,
Yeah.
I would assume just for the funny. Or maybe some inside joke, but that would just be more funny. So I don't know.
It's pretty funny though. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, obviously, I kind of you just forget about it because like you're more considering the boss. But like every now and then, you just remember that it's named is fucking that, and you'll be like, huh, it's funny, Lamau. You had a little the little it'll make you nose exhale.
Yeah.
Ooh, what the flip?
You'll just do the papyrus laugh.
Undertale reference?
Oh, because Book was talking about Undertale, so.
You didn't like Papyrus's theme, right?
Nah. Bone Truffle, Bone Trottle, whatever it's called. Yeah, nah, it's not
know
it.
what it's called, no.
Bone something. It's not bad. I just don't care.
Fair enough.
I like Papyrus. His theme, not it.
I can go with that Undertale.
And you have. I think.
I have. I'm gonna die.
It's because you've gone without Undertale.
I need Undertale. Oh no, I got killed because Undertale wasn't. Fuck.
Wasn't in your life.
Damn it, Undertale, I need you.
Yep, there we go. So what is it? I realized Neutral Run is like forgotten even though it has the coolest final boss. I do like Flowey as a final boss. I do like that boss fight, but yeah, I never did like the real neutral ending. Right, like I went pure pacifist for the sake of the pacifist ending, so I didn't get an actual neutral ending.
Oh shit, oh my minion go.
And then, I would uninstall every one by ones, do the uninstalled ending, so.
Uninstall anything.
That was super rare though, because that route is boring as fuck. Like, holy shit. I just would rather not.
Oh god, I forgot how hard this fucker is. Jeez.
Oh, what is that? Poco, you questioned what Rob was saying about what could push shit in, and then you asked that?
Oh no.
I mean, it's probably not as bad as I'm making it sound, but still, what the fuck?
It was, yeah.
It was just a moment. Well, first, there's this one person in the server I'm in who keeps talking about this, so I want to ask you guys. Oh, okay. Context. Okay. Never mind. I am taking back the question because there was the context, but still.
Okay.
What is the most fuckable Terraria sword?
The most fuckable?
Yep.
Probably a Terrorblade. Oh wait, are we talking about like in terms of coolness or in terms of like, like if you would actually want to fuck it?
Well, well, what's the difference? What's the difference in your question? If you want to fuck
That
it,
one
what
of
would be
them
the
is
reason
like,
you would want to fuck it? If not for coolness. Why would you want to
well,
fuck a sword?
I mean, I can fuck a lot of things.
Why would you? My
Uh,
question wasn't how many can you, it was why would you?
Again, I can. That my answer still stands. I can fuck a lot of things because I want to. My
Well,
point stands
that's
though.
the reason, because you want to, and it's the second one.
Okay, well let me think. What's the most fuckable sword? Most fuckable sword. What the heck? This mod has like a remix, the music remix of the Pumpkin Moon. It's like a trap beat. That's funny.
Mm.
Let me think. What is the most fuckable sword? Honestly, the Horseman's Blade's kind of hot. Like I'd smash.
It's cool looking.
Uh,
If we're going based off cool, like how it looks, it's a pretty early sword, but well, I guess the first form is. But I do like I do like the aesthetic of the Knight's Edge, and the True Knight's
Oh.
Edge. I like how those look.
yeah, I agree. They're really nice looking. Sword. Think of a sword. I get pretty erect when I see the beam sword. It's pretty cool.
I see it because I know what it is, but it's not really useful like ever. So I don't really get sent
Well, I
about
have.
it. I guess I get more. I get more turned on by the key brand than the beam sword, just because it's a Kingdom Hearts reference, and I like the aesthetic of the
that's
key
a
blade.
bias thing.
So is the Knight's Edge because it's purple. The Knight's Edge and True
Well,
Knight's
I
Edge
wasn't
thing
even
is
thinking about
purple.
that. But I guess you're biased.
If it's based on how it looks, aka coolness, aka aesthetic, this is a biased question.
Okay, well let me think. What's another sword that's like?
If we're thinking practical, the answer would be the Zenith, because it'll fuck you over 20 times.
Oh well, I mean, I wasn't gonna say the Zenith.
Well, I'm not saying it because I mean it's alright looking, but
You don't even really see it when you swing it. You mostly just see like what it holds within it.
yeah. Well, I was talking about like the icon that's in your hotbar, like that.
Oh right. Oh, you know what's a good fuckable sword? The one Betsy drops. The weird like.
That's
the
a
weird,
cool
kind of
looking
fiery
one. Yeah, I don't like what it actually does, but it does look cool.
The projectiles go through your walls. What's not to like about that?
You only get like a millimeter distance before it starts going down.
It's not affected by gravity.
I'm gonna look at the sword.
You're thinking of the right one, my friend.
Am I what? A what?
Are you thinking of the right one, my
I
friend?
don't know. That's why I'm gonna check here and see.
I did not
don't know.
get. I did not get any of the drops I wanted.
What's it called?
It's Flying Dragon.
I was gonna say I'll just look up Betsy, but gotcha. You did not get any drops, so we'll do it again.
I don't know. I have to.
Okay, yeah, that's the sword I was picturing, does it not? Oh no, it doesn't. That's not at all what it does. What the fuck? If I ever use this sword,
It's pretty cool.
that is cool looking.
I'm not sure.
It does go through walls too. Yeah, that's super handy. I've never used that,
Are we
apparently.
counting short swords too? Because if we're counting short swords, I also want to make an honorable mention to the Starlight from Empress.
It's a sword, so
Well, I want to also make an honorable mention to the Starlight.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty. It makes me immersed in it. Like whenever it does thing, it's like
Immersed.
whatever it does to me afterwards, I'm not gonna be paying attention to because I'm gonna be too busy looking at colors.
Mhm.
So I can literally do whatever it wants to me and I won't know. But I'm okay with that. I think.
You think?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That might be borderline bad word, but whatever.
Borderline bad word?
I'm not saying that on stream.
Okay, I think I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, I'm not saying that on stream. But it rhymes with what Superman wears on his back.
Yeah.
Can I make another one? I don't have enough ectoplasm. Are you fucking my tits?
Yes.
I don't know who to buy them. I know you are. You like it.
Yes.
Dirty dog. Among Us?
No.
No.
I will shoot it.
What? You're gonna shoot the Among Us?
Yes.
What are you gonna shoot? A computer with Among Us downloaded on it?
I don't know. If I see it, I'll just blam it. I'll figure it out if I get there.
Hey, I got Sayori. Hello, Sayori. Just realized I got you. Oh, that reminds me. I want to get the other. I want to get. What do I want to get? Yuri? I want to get Yuri. How do I get Yuri? I forgot.
I think Curse is the Empress one? Is it?
Fuck.
Wait, is the Empress? I don't remember which is which.
It might be the Empress one. You might be right.
I know Natsuki is Moonlord for some fucking reason.
Not worth. Worst
It's
girl.
either Natsuki or Monica. But I'm pretty sure it's Natsuki. I think Monica is.
I think Monica is the old one that I mean.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Yuri is Empress because I remember both of us agreeing that Yuri's does not fit at all. Like her
No,
drop.
because she's all dark theme.
Yeah.
When she's dropped by a fucking rainbow.
Yeah. Dropped by fucking Skittles.
Who would fit that the most? Sayori probably, right?
You would think, yeah. I think she.
But no, she's dropped by what she would drop Yuri, the fucking pumpkin moon.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
whole
pumpkin.
thing about Halloween and darkness. With a sex joke in there.
Hmm.
Or not sex joke, but sexual joke. I'm gonna do a backflip.
Do it.
I did.
Nice. Neck broken?
Nah, my neck's fine.
Nice.
Can I say? Oh, wow, that was pretty impeccable timing. What the fuck?
Did something break their neck?
I died and it said my character snapped their neck by an enemy.
Oh,
or had their
man.
neck snapped by an enemy.
Oh man.
What the fuck? The game heard me.
I think that's I think the game's trying to tell you something.
That's pretty impeccable timing, honestly.
Right? Okay, Boko said this person's number one, hear me out. Terra Prisma.
Is that a? Can you? Okay, look.
Is that even
You said sword,
Am I
and yes,
forgetting
it's a sword.
Is
But
it? I'm
like,
looking up what
it's
this
a
thing
minion.
is.
It's not a sword you swing. It's a
Oh,
minion,
it's the
and that
Empress's,
counts.
the Empress sword.
Isn't that cheating? I would smash it, but like I would count that as a summon weapon, not a sword.
It's literally a summon weapon. It does summon damage.
It is a sword though. The sprite is a sword.
The sprite
and
is a
So I get
sword.
where you're coming from, but I mean like it's a summon. It's not a sword.
I mean, if that does count, then that does mean that short swords count.
Yeah, that's true.
But technically, it's a summon weapon. How was I supposed to know? Oh, I mean, to be
I don't
fair,
know.
if you don't know, then yeah, you see sword, you think, oh, it's a sword. Yeah, no,
play Terraria,
you.
Bucko?
Yeah, no, you
Is Bucko
literally. I mean, the staff, like, to summon the sword, you swing it. You swing
Yeah, but
the
it doesn't
sword
do
to
any
summon.
damage.
So no, I know. I'm just saying because I was gonna say you swing a staff and you summon a sword that floats behind you, but no, you actually swing the sword.
Oh,
Yeah, the sword. Hold on, the sword down here. It floats behind you. It doesn't. The sword you swing to summon it doesn't do damage. Yeah, it just kind of floats behind you like that.
yeah, it just kind of hovers.
She does not play Terraria.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Sorry, Boko. I guess I didn't mean to make it sound like I was attacking you. I was not. I would never.
Blunderbuss.
Maybe I'm still just slightly agitated from the dinner or from the lunch I had today.
Don't worry, don't worry. She knew you weren't.
Okay, good. Ouch. 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 I was degloved. Ow.
Ooh. Still one of the grosser death messages.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. What does that mean? Just taking your hands off?
Well, it'd be like, I always pictured it as like taking the skin around your hand off.
Oh.
Right? Because like for a horse, it's their like for a shoe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what the exact one-to-one would be for a human, but that's what I would imagine it being.
Yeah, that made me cringe. Made my skin crawl.
I didn't like it anymore. Someone had to say it.
I'm alive.
Yo.
Who's here to die? The struggles of being a summoner. I deal damage, but when I get hit once, it's like that's half my health bar gone.
You essentially die, yeah.
I'm just dead, yeah. Just gotta give up.
Guess I'll die.
I guess I'll die.
It's just the summoner motto.
Pumpkin. You know, Pumpkin's a lot harder than I remember him being.
He can be tricky. It's definitely
Hard.
weird how inconsistent he is.
Just a little bit, yeah. 247 damage, are you fucking kidding? Dude, that hurts. That hurts like a butt cheek on a stick, my dude.
How much does that hurt?
It hurts pretty bad.
Is that a core memory of yours?
My memory, you know, they say bananas are good for your memory, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Because Pumpkin just took a banana and shoved it right up my ass, and I'm never gonna forget that.
You know, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either, so.
Ouch. Your sides move really weird, bro.
But I think they're just attracted to swords in general, so I don't know. I mean, yeah, if it's anything that looks like a sword, then yeah, the terrorism accounts.
You know what's a cool looking weapon in this game, Boko? If you want, you could look up the SDMG. It looks pretty cool.
The SDMG does look cool.
I like how it looks. What's a cool looking weapon in this game, do you think? Like, what's a weapon that you look at whenever you look at it, you're like, dang, this weapon looks sick. Even though I don't like the weapon, I think the vortex speeder looks cool.
Is that the black hole one?
No, that's the
No, the vortex speeder. Fuck, what is that?
That's the gun from the pillar.
Oh, the pillar gun.
The vortex pillar. Yeah.
It's the opposite for me.
You don't like it?
I think it looks alright, I guess, aesthetically, but I do like using it. that combined with chlorophyte just means you win.
Eh. What was a weapon you think was cool?
I'm trying to
Even if you
think.
don't like using it.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
Trying to think of not swords here since we talked about swords already.
It could be a sword too.
Well, I'll just say what I already said. That's why I'm avoiding
Oh, that's
them.
fair, yeah.
You know,
That's
my
true.
edge, the Halloween one, the key
What think your cost
brand.
them?
Oh no, it's not very colorful, but I do like how the boulder staff looks.
The boulder staff?
Yeah.
Like from Golem?
Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
Damn it, it's over already? Did I get anything? I got a witch's broom. Dark Harvest? Oh, I got one. Yes. I need a freaking Raven staff still, though. killed one
Let's see,
pumpkin.
let's see here. Bows. I'm just gonna try and go through like, I guess the weapon types if I can if I can remember them. Bows.
Tsunami and Eventide look nice.
I'll say the tsunami does look cool, as does the Eventide. I was thinking the
I love
tsunami
the
when I
aerial
said
bane.
bows because that's a cool one. I guess I like
Remember the aerial
Betsy's
bane?
bow. What was
Yeah,
that?
I would.
Is
The
it?
aerial bane is Betsy's bow.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
The one I remember when I was using that in that stream. People
Uh,
did.
there's like a white and blue one that you get somewhere. I don't remember what it does, but I know there's like a white and blue feathery kind of looking one almost, or like angelic looking one. I like how that one looks.
The Daedalus?
Sure.
Do you remember how you get it or no?
No. I just know what it looks like.
Crap.
And maybe what you said. I don't know.
That's a cool weapon.
Let's see here.
Um,
There's a few bows.
the Deathsicle.
The Deathsicle? I don't remember what that looks like too much. I think. Is it just black and purple?
It's just a,
just
yeah,
black?
it's just a black death sickle, like a sickle from like a Grim Reaper.
Hmm. I guess I like how the this is going back to a sword, but the star swords, both of them. I like how both those look.
Starfear and Star Wrath,
Yeah.
they are cool. I like them. I like that they're pink with stars on them.
Right. Let's see.
The Chlorify weapons look pretty cool. I never use them, but like the Claymore sword, it looks pretty sick.
I don't remember what those look like because I don't use them.
The Chlorify Claymore, it's like, it's
Oh.
I don't really know how to describe it. You'd have to look it up to see it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think it looks pretty cool.
Jeez.
The Chlorify tier weapons look pretty sick. I don't use them, but they look cool.
What was I gonna say? I like the Eye of Cthulhu. I was trying to think of like
Yeah, it's
yo-yos,
cool.
and I'm like, there's not many to choose from.
Oh, you mean the yo-yo? I thought you meant the boss.
No, the yo-yo. Isn't it called the Eye of Cthulhu? Is it called something
Yes.
else? Okay.
No, it's not the Agulu.
Okay, I was about to say, oh my god.
I just think of the boss first when you say that.
No, my favorite boss, the Eye.
The Eye.
My favorite yo-yo, the Eye. You know, the one that just charges
Eye.
at you and tries to eat you.
Yeah. The one that's not a weapon, but it's a weapon. It's a cool looking yo-yo though, you're right.
It's an ultimate summon
It's just an
weapon.
eyeball.
Let's see here. Yo-yos. Are that maces?
Maces?
I like.
Dao Pao?
Oh yeah, I always forget that one exists. That was not bad.
It looks cool. Just a pointy yin yang.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I remember
Triplicate
there,
player?
I remember there being a like a shiny or sparkly blue one somewhere. Look how that looks. From the dungeon,
Blue Moon?
maybe? Or
Yeah, the Blue Moon
Yeah.
dungeon. Oh, the flare on looks pretty cool too. It's got a face.
Oh, I don't remember that one. Oh no,
It's one
that's
from Duke Christian.
oh the one that shoots the bubbles.
Yeah,
That was
looks
pretty cool.
Like it's
Yeah.
got a face.
I do like that one,
It's just Duke's head
Yeah.
on a flail.
but it's a good flail because it doesn't act like other ones.
It is a good one.
Let's see what else we got. Boomerangs.
Mm,
Not that there's a lot to choose from.
boomerangs?
Ah.
It's a cool looking boomerang. The flamerang looks cool, I guess.
I kind of like how the Tremorang looks. It's basic,
Oh, that's
but
true.
I like it.
I like the thorn chakram. It looks cool.
True.
Green. It's really it.
Yeah,
Unless you
there's not a whole
bananas.
lot. Like the boomerang and chain of boomerang. Shoomerang.
Yeah, that's like
The
bananas.
Shroomerang. There's an ice one, isn't there? Some kind of ice boomerang.
Yeah, ice boomerang.
Yeah, the Flamerang, the Trimerang. That's kind of it. I mean,
Banana
I do like
ring.
the banana ring. I do like bananas, so.
Oh, there's the light disc from the destroyer. But
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
quite think
I
I
don't-
like it how it looks.
I don't
too
like how
much.
it looks, no. Nah. I don't even think I like it
I like that
better
it's got, like, a
than the banana
blue-
ring in general, so.
I like that it's got a blue aura effect around it though when you. It's pretty cool, but that's the only thing I really can.
I don't even
Ben
really
thinks
remember the
cool
blue
about it.
aura.
You probably haven't used it enough.
As far as I remember, I've used it one playthrough. Just because I think the banana ring's better in every regard.
True, it's true. It throws more, it's longer range, does more damage I think, and you get it pre-boss.
I think the
So, yeah, it's
damage, like the base damage, is technically higher than the banana ring, which is why I tried it. But because you can only throw like so many at once, or have so many out at once, the banana ring just tops it easy.
Yeah, I think the disc has 4 while the banana ring is 10, I think.
Something like that. I didn't even know the banana ring had a limit, because you can just hold it all day and you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's got a limit. I think that's it though for boomerangs, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, a whole lot.
Nope. Boomerang subclass.
Summon staff? Not the minion, the staff.
Like the actual summons.
Well, but like the staff.
Like, oh yeah, they're the thing they come from.
Not the minion
Okay.
themselves, but yeah, what they come
Yeah.
from. One minion did immediately pop in my head, but the actual staff. I mean, I guess I like how the staff looks as well. The Queen Slime's dagger thing.
Oh, the blade staff.
I
It's a pretty
like
cool
both
looking
how
one.
the minion looks and how the staff looks.
Yeah, it does look pretty nice. I have one right now.
Yo,
I like the Tempest staff from Duke Fisher on. And it's not really a great minion, but the staff looks pretty cool.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, the minion, it's tight, but
It's not terrible, but it's not great.
it's gonna miss. It's
Yeah,
gonna
it
miss a
misses pretty
lot,
often.
and that's a problem.
Yeah, that's why people don't use it.
Ooh.
Summon staff? I like the Sanguine Bat staff from the Dreadnoughtalus. How it looks.
I don't remember how that one looks. I remember the
Probably
minion
'cause you
just
don't
on
get it
staff.
often.
No, not at all. I rarely go blood moon fishing in general, no matter who I am.
I guess
so.
now we can say we like the Terra Pres the staff,
True, yeah.
not a sword.
It's a real staff. Even though you would be fooled looking at it.
You would definitely be fooled, yes. Full Boko. So yes, you would be fooled by it. I think when I first saw it, I thought it was a sword too.
Right,
Yeah,
like
that was common.
if you don't know shit about Terraria and you look at that thing, you think that's a sword. When do I get that sword? And then you get it somehow. Somehow on your very first playthrough, you get it and you're like, oh, what?
Yeah, you see the word summon damage, you're like, what? Summon? What the? Ouch. Oh wait, were we still going?
Am I? I'm trying to think of what other weapon types there are, but I'm brain fighting hard.
Weapon types? I'm surprised you didn't start with mage.
I did. I said the boulder staff.
Oh. What about magic gun?
How many magic guns are there? Because there's the
space gun?
the zapper, the second
The
zapper,
Zappinator?
the space gun. What else is there?
There's the heat ray from the golem. There's the laser machine gun from the Martian saucer,
These
which
are,
I think looks really cool.
these are ones I probably never used, and I don't think I can properly judge the Martian saucer ones because I have the Halo Covenant
Oh,
texture
yeah,
pack
that's-
over
you're
it,
right, I
so
forgot.
it's probably either a plasma rifle or a plasma repeater, so I can't properly judge those. I don't remember what the base ones look like.
Also the magic gun.
I could just look
What's
it
another
up.
magic gun? I can't even think of any other magic guns. That's it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of magic guns.
Not really, no.
What's the martial one
No
called?
wizard with no wizard with a gun reference.
Oh. Yeah. Let's see, a Martian Madness. What's this gun supposed to look like? Oh god, put this up. Let's see. The laser machine gun?
Yeah, I think it looks pretty
What, the
cool.
Xenopopper? The laser machine gun?
The Xenopop is a ranged weapon.
Oh, okay. The laser machine gun does look cool.
Yeah, right? It does look cool. It looks nice.
Yeah.
I like it. I can dig it.
Okay.
It's a cool weapon too. It's not even bad.
Well, since I'm here. Let's see, let's see. Staff of Earth, that's what it's called. Okay, yeah.
Staff of F.
I do like how the Spectre staff looks. It's
Oh,
basically just your projectile slapped on the staff itself.
yeah, it's the ghost face. Ooh, he's
Basically.
going. Ooh, it's Ghostface from Scream. It's simple, but I like the way the Inferno Fork looks too. Just a pitchfork, a red pitchfork, like a devil's trident.
Basically, yeah. those,
I like it.
those bone mages that carry them are fucking devils, so.
They fucking suck, dude. Diabolist or whatever they're called.
Yeah, Diabolist, Diabolist, whatever. Those are horrible.
Those guys fucking suck.
Goddamn. I don't know. I don't really know if I don't think it's cool, but I find the aesthetic of the weather pane funny. It's just north south sign, but it's funny. I don't think it's cool, but it's funny.
Oh yes, I got the Raven staff. Let's go. Hell yeah.
Oh, I was about to say Roman candle, then I saw 3DS. I was like, oh. I mean that in Christmas, but you know. Oh, the bee gun. That's a gun.
Oh, magic gun. Yeah, magic gun, bee gun, and wasp gun.
I
There's a
completely
wasp
forgot
gun
about
too.
that. I always use that thing on a mage playthrough. How could I forget?
There's also the wasp gun from Pantera. Now that we're thinking about it,
Oh yeah. What the wow.
I completely forgot about that one. Was I not thinking about Queen Bee? I'm sorry, Queen Bee.
I guess not. I mean I wasn't either, so yeah, the book's not really anything to write about.
Nah, they're just all the same, different colors.
Wands. Yeah, the Infernal Fork, Spectre Staff.
Ooh, the Blizzard staff and Razor Pine from the Frostmoon look. The Razor Pine especially. I like the way
I,
the Razor Pine looks.
I do like those two. I see the Razor Pine. I know it's a mage weapon, but I see it and I immediately think it's a ranged weapon just because it looks like a gun. It kind of looks like or like not a gun, but like a crossbow or something. You're just looking at it from a bird's eye view. It doesn't look like
I do think it looks like a crossbow.
it doesn't look like a
Gun,
wand to
no.
me.
The Razor Pine's freaking awesome though. It's
Oh,
a
it's
great
good.
weapon.
It's a good weapon for sure.
Fantastic. Definitely a goated weapon for sure.
What is the Resonance Scepter? Dropped by Princess?
Oh, the Resonance Scepter is pretty cool.
I don't think I've ever
Basically
used
a-
it. I don't think I've tried to get it from her.
It's basically the Inferno Fork, but the projectile goes to your mouse cursor rather than flings forward.
Oh. Okay.
It's pretty cool.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's good against Moonlord.
Oh, I'm sure.
I like the Resonance Scepter. I rarely use it, but I like the way it looks. I like that it's pink as well. It's pretty nice.
I do like the sparkly effect that it's showing when you're using it.
Yeah, that's the projectile you shoot.
That is cool.
Sparkles. It's just kind of a pain in the butt to get, but you know,
Oh.
it's cool.
Laser rifle.
Laser rifle from what?
Wall of Flesh.
Oh, I forgot about the
I
laser
completely forgot
rifle.
about that as well. Leaf blower.
I never use it.
Rainbow
The leaf
gun.
blower is a magic gun. Rainbow gun. I forgot
The
about
leaf
the
blower? I
rainbow.
don't know. It's under magic guns in the wiki. That is the wiki GG.
I guess the leaf blower is a magic gun.
Planetara magic weapon, yeah. I must not really use it since I forgot about it. I don't know.
I don't use it. I don't think I've ever used the leaf
Hmm.
blower actually.
Rainbow gun, I don't think I think I've used it once in like a co-op playthrough with you. I remember what it does, I
Leaf
just
blower?
don't remember ever the rainbow gun.
Oh,
The heat ray, I definitely have not used the heat ray.
I think the rainbow gun's cool, but it's not really like it's not really something you want to use all the time because you kind of shoot it once and forget it's there, and then you have it.
Yeah,
You know.
just a
Yeah.
little, yeah, it's just a little dot wall.
It's just good for support, not as a weapon.
Charged blaster cannon? Dropped by Martian Madness
I
enemies. I don't
forgot
even know what the
about the
fuck that
charge blaster.
does.
It's a it's a knockoff Last Prism.
Oh. Oh,
It's
but
dropped from the
it
Martians.
shoots some shots before, turns full laser as
Yeah,
well. Okay, and they
it does
pierce.
like three little pews, and then it does like
Oh.
two bigger pews, and then the laser.
Pew pew. Okay, okay. The
It's
bubble
pretty
gun.
okay. Oh, I forgot about dude.
The bubble gun's pretty
The
cool.
bubble gun. Okay,
I
hear
like
me
it.
out, right?
Okay.
The bubble gun.
Uh-huh.
I so the bubble gun.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I think I've had like pre pre moon events or pre cultist kill. Like pre cultist, pre pillar, like no pillar weapons. I think the bubble gun is the weapon that I have defeated Moonlord with the fastest because the
Really?
freaking bubble gun is really fucking strong for no reason.
It is really strong.
It is super strong.
Like,
And people don't use it. It's like,
rapidly
why? I mean, I
fires a
guess it's
short
because it's small or short
range.
range.
Short range, but it doesn't matter if it's short range.
It's so
It
fucking
really doesn't
good.
matter.
Like it's kind of criminal how good that thing is, and it's slept on. Oh man, Bubblegun for the win. W Bubblegun. And it's just a fucking gun that shoots bubbles, dude.
Yeah,
Like you get
that's all it is.
you got fucking you got freaking laser guns, you got you like not even including like like just magic weapons, but like you got like real world weapons like a sniper rifle, a shotgun.
Fucking
You got like
Uzi.
fucking swords pulled from like flaming dragons and rainbow assassins,
Right?
butterflies.
You have straight up Excalibur, a sword of legend,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then you have a gun that shoots bubbles. A
Just a
water gun,
fucking
basically.
gun that shoots bubbles. Yeah, water gun. Yeah,
But it's
and yeah,
good. It's good.
that thing, I think has been the weapon that I've killed Moon the fastest.
It doesn't
It's
matter
just too good.
if it's short range. At that point in the game, everything's chasing you anyways.
Yeah,
It doesn't both normal enemies and the bosses. It doesn't matter if it's short range. They're gonna run into it because they're chasing you.
yeah, dude, for real. Bubblegum good.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good.
People are sleeping on it for no reason. They're missing out. Bubblegum good.
What's the Bloodthorn? Or like, what's it look like? I probably. Oh, there's no gift for this one being used. Okay. Oh no, that's because I don't want the fuck. Why did it link me to the shark? I don't want the fucking shark. Yeah, that. Oh, hello. I don't think I've ever used the Bloodthorn.
Really?
I'm not recognizing the animation at least, so it looks
Hmm.
cool.
Another one from the Hemogoblin Shark?
Yeah,
Okay. Then I was thinking of the right weapon.
I do like how the Nightglow looks. I mean, I like
Oh,
its
the lantern?
actual attack as well, but yeah, the lantern. I like how it looks.
I forgot about the night glow.
I
Oh,
like
and the
how you
stellar
actually
tune.
hold it out in front of you and it does emit a little bit of light.
Yeah, me too. That is cool.
As a lantern
Stellar
should.
tune is cool too. I like that.
The cello tune is great.
It's cool.
It's a
I
star
like it.
guitar. You filling out magic notes that hurt, and it actually like plays music.
Like music. Yeah, it plays music. What's not to like about it?
What's
It's cool.
not to like? It's dope.
The only thing that sucks about it is that it's rare as fuck to drop. But it's a cool weapon.
Oh, is it?
It's like a 5% chance
Oh.
from Empress.
Whoa, what the holy shit, okay.
What?
Just this gun I got, holy fuck. It's a tiny little thing, but god damn it. Big boom.
It's always the smaller things.
Right. Oh. And it's not about to
We were just talking about the bubble gun.
and it's not gonna matter. Don't do it.
You do it?
Tried. Ooh. No, it tried. Not, oh, there we go.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I had, my remaining health was about the size of that gun, so. Unfortunate.
dear. Unfortunate indeed, my friend.
But you know what? The game's trying to tell me to stop, because I am past time. So, let me just...
Oh, you are.
Let's see, I got that. I wanted... I got that. What's that? Yeah. That. Obama with the.
What?
I don't know, something Boko said. Obama with DIH.
I mean, I know what she's saying, but why?
I don't know.
Where's my Dark Harvest at?
Anyways, that's all I got for today. Let me make sure. Yeah, the music's not playing, it's fine. That is all I have for today. I will be back on Thursday night. Today's Tuesday? Yeah, Thursday night with, I don't know, maybe more of this. I don't know, we'll see what happens.
Whatever you enjoy, my friend.
Yes, and I am liking this game. Roboquest is really fucking cool. Way better than I thought it'd be. I keep saying that. I don't know why.
It's true.
Remember, guys, he has a god. Don't believe him.
I'm
Hey,
lying
come
right
back.
there, my teeth.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead. You answer.
Note to streamer, check out the VOD. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I'll be back Thursday, and I will see you all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.